We've been playing Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, and I do mean Vessel of Hatred, like the whole thing. We got to play as like the new class, for example. We got to play as in the new zone of Nahantu, and we got to experience the story. So I think we're going to talk a bit about what every player can experience, because we also got to try Season 6.
Yeah, and then we'll go into more of that Vessel of Hatred goodness. So be sure to comment any questions down below, and let's get into it, Henry.
Let's do this. First, I think it's important we cover things that are updated for all players, not just people who are purchasing Vessel of Hatred, because this is also launching alongside Season 6, which has massive implications for what everybody is going to be experiencing. There's things like level squish, there are new progression systems, so there's quite a lot that's changing for every single player out there. So if you're not purchasing Vessel of Hatred, there's still plenty to be excited about in Diablo 4.
Something I think you'll be particularly excited about playing with the new progression system, which I think will be beneficial for new players as well as all of you existing Diablo fans too. Speaking of, if you do have any Eternal Realm characters that you like to play with, this new update will be reducing any over 50 leveled characters back to 50, but don't worry, you'll get to then enjoy the new progression system, earn that soft level cap up to 60, get your 10 brand new skill points from those levels.
Very useful.
And from there, you can then play about with the new paragon system.
Yeah, the way it works now is, you have your initial 60 levels that your character levels up, and each of those levels you'll earn a skill point, which you'll put into your main leveling board, your skill tree, to unlock skills, to unlock like extra little bonuses here and there. And then from 60 onwards, you then earn something called paragon points, which are like, it's like if your skill tree just went like that. And now you have all these extra boards to play with, and you earn a few of these paragon points per level. And you'll dot them in, and they're basically like ways to supercharge your build. So you'll have 5 boards now that you can slot in. So you'll plot these little nodes in and flesh out your board with an extra 100 paragon points. So previously to Season 6, you only had 200. Now you'll be able to earn up to 300. And that initial 200, you can use that to find like the identity of your build, like really solidify it. And then those extra 100 paragon points, they're more for just like having fun. You know, you can just scatter them across the board and be like, yeah, I want a little bit of that. I want that magic node. I want this one here. You know, you don't have to overthink it anymore. It's just going to be, you know, much simpler to achieve end game builds without having to put in too much of the brain work that like just felt a bit unnecessary, I guess. So it's a really positive change that I think everyone's going to appreciate. Plus, like 300 paragon points, that's going to look bonkers when you filled out 5 boards with all of that. Like, I don't know how many nodes there are on a board, but that sounds like you're basically going to fill out the entire thing. I was
going to say I might just do a challenge where I just
get everything.
Doesn't matter about any stats. I'm just like, let me complete one board.
Yeah, that's going to be good. Glyph XP is also changing. So beforehand, they've done a little switcheroo, because previously you would earn Glyph XP in Nightmare Dungeons, and you would earn your masterworking materials in the pit. Those have changed. So now when you do the pit, you're earning Glyph XP, and when you're playing in the Nightmare Dungeons, you're earning masterworking materials, which I think makes
more sense to me, given like the type of activities they both are. I guess it feels like when you go into the pit, it's more of a repetitive run, almost like a roguelite.
You're trying to be quick as well.
So that makes more sense too. And there's only so many glyphs that you need XP for. So once I'd maxed out like the 3 or 4, I'm like, oh well, you know, what's the point in doing Nightmare Dungeons? Whereas
anymore.
now you're right, like getting the materials that I need, because I'm constantly wanting to change up my gear, remaster it, retemper it, getting the better rolls that I can do. So having that flexibility will be way more fun to play with.
They've completely revamped how difficulty works in the game. It's not just 4 world tiers. In fact, there's no world tiers anymore. They're gone. Right. And it's a system that apparently is quite similar to Diablo 3.
Okay.
I didn't play it, but I've seen people online saying like, oh great, this is like what I really loved about Diablo 3's difficulty system. But it's added basically 4 main levels, 4 end game levels. which do sound brutal. So they've added them curses.
Yeah. Sounds more like for better longevity as well, like you were saying. You're so true. Rather than waiting for the next season to come across, there'll be new experiences that we can do. Oh yeah, the curses. Talk me through those a little bit, because they sound wild.
Yeah, so curses kick in when you hit tormented levels of difficulty. So the first 4 levels, like I said, they're like your standard levels that are meant to be for the leveling journey. So from 0 to 60, you should only really be operating from levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are normal, hard, which is actually really hard, by the way. When we were playing this, we didn't get to use our existing accounts. We were using like an extra build of the game, which meant that we didn't have any of our stuff. We didn't get to use like characters we already had. We had to start literally from level 1. No Lilith, no renown, no bonuses whatsoever. Which meant that actually, I went in thinking, whenever I start a new character on seasonal, I'm always like world tier 2 straight away. Like, it's not a problem. This was this was a challenge. Getting absolutely rinsed by like regular enemies all the way up to like level 30 before I started to feel like, yeah, maybe I'm okay now. So that was a bit of a reality check, which was kind of nice to have a good challenge again in Diablo. So that's hard. And then level 3 is expert. And then level 4 is called penitent. Those 4 you use for leveling. Once you're ready for end game, which starts at level 60 realistically, you will A, unlock the pit, and B, be able to play in tormented levels, which go tormented 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each one of those levels adds the curses that we were talking about. And the curses are basically debuffs to your armor and to your resistances. And they get quite drastic. Like level 4 tormented sounds absolutely brutal. So I think it's going to put more onus on the players to really invest in their gear, really pay attention to the synergies they have, and make sure they're like covering all bases, or even just like, I hope they would add something like a loadout thing, because I think it's going to become quite important to swap out your gear every now and then, depending on the activity you do, which I think is their intention, to like say you shouldn't have a one-size-fits-all loadout for your character that can do every activity. They want you to sort of think about what you're doing.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
For sure. But you're right. This sounds like a new opportunity to kind of explore different play styles as well. And then also, more reason to be finding better or different roles or different usage for, the armor that you're wearing.
Yeah. So the way I'm gonna play it, I think I'm gonna categorize my armor a bit better and be like, this is what I'm gonna use for like this tormented boss because they have more cold damage, and this is what I'm gonna use for this particular activity because it's all about being quick, so I need to kill enemies quicker and be more mobile. So that's the way I'm gonna start thinking about Diablo a bit more. I think you could do that previously, but now I think it's gonna be even more important because of the curses they add in tormented levels of difficulty. But yeah, it's a good change.
Can't wait to see your notes on that.
Yeah, it's going to look mad. It's not just the overall like leveling and progression system that's changed. Season 6 does, of course, add new content to play for everyone.
Yeah.
So there's, as you'd expect, like a sort of hub person that you talk to who has like reputation that you can earn rewards from. And again, kind of similar with the Mother's Gift from Season 5? It's like, the more you do certain activities, the more rep you earn, and then you get rewards for that. But there's also events. I don't know if you tried any of the events. I did, actually. I had a great time. I managed to catch one of the Realmwalkers that's walking the realm. They are. They're massive. They are. Those look like a world boss, how big they are. I couldn't believe it. I thought this is a mistake. As my game bugged out on like times 200% size on like a little minion or something, but it's enormous. Yeah, I really enjoyed it though, as like a randomly occurring event around the world to try and chase down this, like you say, colossus walking around, and then disrupting him to eventually get into this other realm that you enter. It's like on his back. Yeah, it's really. Imagine carrying that. When people say I'm carrying the whole world on my shoulders, this guy, poor Realmwalker. Yeah, he's this giant thing that's walking around very slowly. And then they get us coming on and beating the ever living daylights out of him. So you gotta like chop down his like entourage. Yeah. And the more you do that, the more you anger him, and then eventually extra ones come out that are like tied to him, and you kill them. It does damage to the big Realmwalker, and then eventually he like decides, all right, enough's enough. Let's have a little scrap, and you fight him, you kill him. They drop down, and then the portal that was on his back you can now go into.
So what I like about this portal, it basically opens up into a similar kind of dungeon-esque experience.
Like a mini dungeon.
Yeah. What I really love about this is obviously the challenge, but the fact that you can tailor what rewards you get from it. So good. So you can choose between equipment. I went for equipment most of the time. And then I believe the other ones are Gold and Resources as well.
Yeah.
Okay, sick.
I usually chose resources because I am always too lazy to try and pick up like
herbs
resource
and stuff.
nodes. Yeah, I can't be bothered.
They're making it even easier for you, Henry.
This is good. It's a good change because it's not. I'm not interested in going around smashing rocks and picking up flowers. I just want to be fighting demons. So now, yeah, you get at the end of it, if you do complete a Realmwalker event, you get to choose your rewards. So it says, do you want they're basically potions or elixirs that you get, and when you drink them, it increases the amount of that thing that drops. So you can drink this gold one, this equipment one, or the resources one, and basically for the next like however long that it lasts for, you will find that normal enemies will drop more of that stuff. Yeah. Which is great.
Plus the 15% XP bonus as well.
Which is huge. Yeah. Very good for leveling. So yeah, if you're slow with leveling from 1 to 60, Realmwalker events will help you out because you'll get loads of those elixirs, which will level you up way quicker. So it's a good thing to do. Plus you'll be getting all the like faction rep for the event, which means you get more rewards. So it's all about giving you more stuff, which is great. That's very cool, and that's, again, this is a Season 6 update, so this is available for every single player. Even if you didn't purchase Vessel of Hatred, this will matter for you, so do check out Season 6. It seems very cool. The Battle Pass rewards look amazing, and as always, there's a free track, and then there's like the premium track, which you can purchase. The horse at the end of the premium track looks unbelievable. Unreal. And then dotted out throughout the rest of it, there's like kind of pirate themed cosmetics. Like one of them's literally a tricorn.
It's so sick.
Which you could just, it looks great. There's like a portal that's got like loads of waves crashing around with like treasure chests, and then there's like a ship wheel as well, which I think is like I think it was a horse trophy. So yeah, lots of stuff to be excited for in Season 6. We both played as Spiritborns for this entire experience. Yeah. To be honest, I was only ever going to pick that because I've played all the other classes. I want to know what the Spiritborn's like. Of course, I was very excited for it because it's good. It's a good class. I think they've done very well balancing this and making this really approachable for everyone.
I think that's such a good way of putting it. So I think what I really enjoyed about it was it fits so well into the roster already. It doesn't feel like it's overstepping anything, like it's too similar to, I've seen people mention like it's kind of similar to a rogue or a druid or maybe even warrior, but I think it obviously takes elements of those because they're all combative, but it's very much its own entity, and it is so much fun to play through. You hit the nail on the head so perfectly that that class synergy is already kind of laid out for you with Spiritborn, because the way it uses its abilities is obviously taking the power of these animal spirits, so across like jungle type ones. So you've got your gorilla powers, your jaguar, your eagle, and the centipede as well. And it's nicely color coded too, which is quite helpful.
It is.
But
what are the colors?
Okay, test. Pop quiz.
Check.
Eagle is blue.
Yeah.
Tech check. Centipede green.
Yeah.
Gorilla is yellow. And jaguar is orange.
I'd say red, but yeah, I'll let it pass.
Okay, well you.
Orangey red. Burnt sienna? Nah, not even.
Definitely orange.
Okay.
But so, and as we've mentioned as well, we're starting from a complete square one.
Level
which
1.
Was
no extras. No items, nothing.
Just going into it. And it was really fun. I was just chopping and changing the whole time, which is what is the beauty of Diablo, that you can just try and error and see what you end up with at the end of it. But I was respecing all the time because I wanted to make sure that I was like going across all the different animals, as well as mixing them up and seeing what worked for me too. So I ended up I had a bunch of different animal spirit
like skills
actives at the time. Yeah, skills at the time.
And that goes hand in hand with the kind of class feature of the Spiritborn, which is like choosing spirit animals to align yourself with, which you unlock. I think it was at level 20 you get the class quest to do that.
Yeah.
So this is a similar mechanic to like rogues learning their specialization, or barbarians learning like which weapon to use for certain skills, and
literally druids do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Where you can
where you get to choose. Yeah,
animal.
exactly.
But as a new player coming into it, you can imagine that it would be a lot easier and more straightforward, and also better for you in the long run to follow one specific animal path.
Yeah.
And then for sure you get used to that build system of what's complementary for different skills and things.
Yeah.
But what did you lean more into one animal than the others?
I did, but I think that was out of necessity for the fact that I was trying to play it on hard from the get-go. And so each spirit animal has its identity, right? So I would say like gorilla is like the tanky one. This is for like increasing your survivability. Centipede is like poison damage. It's like area of effect stuff. The eagle is like ranged, mobility a little bit, and then jaguar is melee, quick attacks, and very mobile. So zipping around quite a lot. Your attacks often like dash you to someone. So with that in mind, I thought, okay, I'm getting absolutely hammered here by these enemies. This is really tough. So I thought, okay, gorilla, maybe that's going to help my survivability a bit. So I slotted a few more gorilla stuff in, and I thought I'm also going to need to be quite quick, because if I struggle to get myself out of tough scenarios, I'm going to just die over and over again. So I also went jaguar. So I started playing around with those two, like mixing them a little bit.
Smart.
And it worked out pretty well. Like a few trial and errors, like resetting my skill tree, because I was like, nah, this isn't working. And eventually kind of found this particular build style that I quite enjoyed, where I rely very heavily on my basic attack. And the cool thing about the basic attack is it comes in threes. So it's like first hit, second hit, and then a big third hit. So I come from playing rogue typically, and typically rogue with combo points, which is, again, similar, 1, 2, 3, and then a big attack. So it's rhythmic. With the Spiritborn, I found there were a lot of nodes on the skill tree that specifically called out that basic attack and ways to make it stronger, ways to make the third attack last longer. And so I figured out, okay, I'm going to pour loads of points into the basic attack, make that as strong as it possibly can, and then also increase it with the extra nodes, and then use my other abilities as like little procs here and there just to like keep me alive for longer. And although I think it's probably not the quickest at killing stuff, it definitely keeps me alive much longer. And basically the gorilla one was perfect for what I was trying to do, because every time I would cast a gorilla skill, I would gain a barrier, and all my skills became gorilla skills. So even the jaguar ones I was using, even the eagle one that I do use every now and then, is now also considered a gorilla skill. So everything I'm casting gives me a little barrier, so I'm alive for longer.
I actually chose eagle spirit.
What does that one do?
Well, after
because I saw gorilla and I was like, I want that one.
good.
Yeah, I want that one.
After only choosing like one eagle skill at the time, I dabbled in a few of them, but I only had one active. So luckily, like you say, I love the fact that it's just like all skills are now this, by the way.
Yep.
So you still get that overarching benefit. The primary, like the top one where you choose eagle spirit as your primary spirit, it'd be fun to mix and match them though.
I didn't mix and match.
Ooh, stop it.
My second one. So yeah, you do. I think it's level 30. You get to choose another one which has a secondary effect. So you can double down. You can go gorilla. But I went gorilla jaguar because I wanted to increase. I think it's basically that's the one that lets your third cast of your basic skill go forever. If you cast a basic skill within 1.5 seconds, your third cast stays active.
Stunning. So
it just looks stupid what I'm doing because I've got this big flywheel of like jaguar claws that are just constantly firing off. Like I've got this like
a cartoon cat fight or something.
Literally going like that constantly, which is exactly what I was trying to do with my build. So you're right. It's great that, you know, it tags all your skills with this and, you know, making it gorilla this or this is out, everything's eagle, because finding a build took me way quicker than before. Like normally I really struggled to try and figure out a build on my own with previous classes, and, you know, going to check out Icy Veins or Wowhead or whatever to figure one, to like at least give me some inspiration or just be like, yeah, I'm just going to use that. But now it felt so much easier to just make one up myself and actually have it work.
Viable,
yeah.
Some of my favorite parts that I played through in the character, the Eagle Spirit, it gives you, when I evade, it shoots off up to 8, I think it is, feathers, flying feathers that are ranged, and they track enemies as well.
So that's good.
I had only 2 evade, but I'm definitely going to try and find boots to improve
stacks,
that. Yeah, because sometimes I'd just be running past mobs and I'd evade, and that would just one-shot a bunch of them as well. Wow. It's so helpful. And also really helpful when you're in a boss like arena and trying to move out of the way while also still casting damage. I felt like with some of the, maybe it was more towards the centipede skills and maybe a touch of the eagle ones as well, was I felt like I had a lot more control over mobs than some of the classes I've played. Because I've played, normally I like to play sorcerer, necromancer, or last season I was playing a lot of druid, which was good fun. There's a centipede skill called Scourge that fears a bunch of enemies as well as poisons them, and it sends them off. Yeah,
so
it just
evil.
sends them off running. I know.
Horrible.
It's definitely not going to be a helpful like co-op play style what I built, because I was just dragging them in and then making them all run away.
Scatter. Get out.
But
of
it
here.
was fun.
So like, I'm using that vortex skill from the eagle because my whole thing is the build I've made lets me trigger my ultimate way more often than you should actually be able to do it. Ultimate skills are normally meant to be like, oh, use this every minute or something. Whereas I'm like, I've got a node that basically lets me refresh my ultimate skill within seconds. And then like I can do that 4 times in a row before it's like, okay, now I'm going to actually wait for a bit. So what I've done is I've tied my ultimate skill to like trigger with rune words. The rune words. I've got that to tie with the rune word that I'm using so that I'm constantly doing extra damage. So my rune words, which are a new feature, they kind of work like gems.
Yeah.
You take a top half here, bottom half here, pop them together in a double gem slotted item, and then every time you do the top bit, the bottom bit happens. And so every time I'm using my ultimate, which is very often, the bottom bit happens, which is I get to use Barbarian Earthquake, which is a skill that's on a completely different class to what I'm playing. But I'm able to trigger Earthquake at the spot of my ultimate. So I'm doing my crazy like claws. I then drag everyone in with Vortex, hit them with an ultimate refreshes again, another one,
massive
loads
damage.
of Earthquakes. It looks crazy. But the other thing that I thought was really fun was working with the mercenary system and attaching a mercenary skill to my Vortex.
Ooh, that's smart.
So when I use the Vortex,
that's so smart.
They all get dragged in, and then my mercenaries, which we'll explain in a sec, come in and do another attack at that exact same spot. So basically, all hell's breaking loose there because I've dragged them in with the Vortex. I'm hitting them with my ult, which also hits them with an Earthquake, which also then hits them with a mercenary attack, which sets the whole floor on fire. So everyone is just stuck in a world of pain, and it works very well.
I know what to play.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. Should we talk about mercenaries then? Should we explain what that is?
Mercenaries are great fun. Coming across them as you open up quite early on in the story campaign before you really set off properly. In the new region or returning region of Nahantu, you pick up Nahir. You are introduced to him. He's a blacksmith, and then you find out that he's actually a member or leader of this gang called Pale Hands, who are a bunch of different mercenaries. And then From there, you can recruit him as your mercenary, which is what I did for most of the campaign.
Yeah, he's your first one, so you got to ride with him for a while until you unlock a few more.
Yeah, and then that opens up obviously side quests to go and find those other mercenaries that might better suit your playthrough as well.
What is a mercenary, Bex?
What is a mercenary? Well, it's a wee NPC. And here's not so wee. Sorry.
No, he's huge. It's massive.
It is an NPC. Let's take Nahir for example, though, who acts as your sidekick, like a mercenary would, a hired hand would. So they'll come along with you, attack all of those enemies. As you were mentioning earlier, Henry, there's a really cool system to use them alongside a lot of your skills as reinforcements too.
So kind of like the Spiritborn has 2 spirits you can choose to align yourself with. With mercenaries, you can have your main mercenary, who will follow you around and basically be your player 2 if you're playing by yourself. And then you have your reinforcement one, which you will also travel with in your little pocket, and they will just leap out of your pocket anytime you do a specific attack.
Do a specific attack if you're damaged, like vulnerable. If you're
yeah, that's right. You can tie it to like player states as well.
Yes,
yeah, it's good.
Which is really cool. And this Vessel of Hatred really is like an expansion of 2 halves with the top and bottom, the Runewords as well. There's a lot of interesting. There's something to that. But yeah, as you were saying, and then also, sorry, if you do go and unlock a bunch of different mercenaries that you can then choose from. So I was running with Aldkin, which is the cursed child. He's great.
He is great.
You got a wee side quest for each of them to unlock them. Then you can pick and choose. They have different mini skill trees themselves, so you gain rapport as you travel with them, as you use them, that unlock those skill points for you to choose what their build looks like as well, and how that's complementary to yours. And then there's also rewards for your rapport as well, so you can earn some little treats.
Yeah, it's kind of like
friendly.
It looks sort of familiar to the seasonal like faction rewards, in that like you fill the bar,
like
you get
the wolf's
this.
favor.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it looks a little similar to that, but it's also got they'll learn like new skills as they level up, or you'll get currency to barter with as well. So the bartering system I've only just sort of started playing around with, but it basically is like an extra vendor, and you'll earn the currency from your mercenaries, which you can then spend on actually what looks like quite good gear. Like most of the stuff they were selling me was like legendary at least, and that was before I'd even hit like level 35 or something. So it's a whole new system that's going to add a lot. I think it's going to be really important for solo players who don't want to feel so lonesome, because it literally gives you a player 2 that runs alongside with you, but also just for fleshing out your build even more by attaching extra effects to your skills. So like I was saying, the Altkin's like fire rain is what I'd attached to my my vortex. So if you start to think synergistically about what's going to be useful in a certain scenario, or should I, and it's not just attacks, it's also defensive things too. So like Nahir can do like a shield, like a bubble shield. So if you're like getting absolutely battered and you're low on health, you can make it trigger so that when I'm low on health, Nahir will give me a big bubble shield, so I can actually like catch a break for a sec and like reconfigure, reset, heal a bit, assess the situation. So yeah, it's very malleable, the way you can use the mercenaries, I'd say. It's a good update, but it's part of Vessel of Hatred. So again, if you want to access that, make sure you purchase it.
Vessel of Hatred. Let's talk about the campaign as well a little bit too briefly. Won't speak too much on it.
No spoilers, don't worry.
It, but throughout Vessel of Hatred you obviously get lots of new things, including the Spiritborn that we've talked about, these mercenaries, new activities, as well as the region of Nahantu, which was in Diablo 2, I believe, but this is the first time it's come back. Or the last one we hadn't seen properly in Diablo 4, as well as a whole expansive campaign too. I didn't get the chance to finish it properly.
Me neither.
I think I got
quite a lot in there.
It's a lot. It's expansive and picks up from the end of obviously the main campaign, the base game, and carries that story on, as well as picks up very nicely from that awesome cinematic.
Oh my god, gruesome cinematic.
Yeah, featuring Nerel and Mephisto, Lilith's father.
Daddy. What I thought was great from the get-go was visually Nahantu is like nothing we've ever seen in the rest of the Diablo 4 map. Like Sanctuary has very defined like biome kind of areas, and now we have a jungle right in the southwest of the map, which is gorgeous. It's lush, but it's also like there's little like pots of like townships, I suppose, which have this kind of ancient ruinous visual look to them. Kind of reminds me of like Mesopotamia or like Aztec structure, which is, it looks gorgeous as you'd expect with Diablo 4. Like the environment team goes absolutely ham on the visuals of this game. Like for a game that's often punched out camera, they really do put in a lot of like minute intricate details here and there, and I think it works out really well. Like take the time to zoom in every now and then, because like you'll notice little things that just really blow you away. So the region's really cool, and it's infested with lots of new enemy types from different new monster families that they've created just for the DLC, and they provide a challenge. Like some of them are like reduxed versions of the ones you see in the base game. Like you remember when you would fight like the big snaky boys in the original game, and every now and then they'd fire out like that green eye that would like sweep the battlefield, find you, and then go
so annoying,
and it would like put you to sleep for a bit.
Hate them.
They've got one of those now, but it's red and it scans and shoots, and when it does that, it makes the screen go entirely black and kills all your skills. So like they're adding like new things in that regard, but also completely new enemies. Like one's called a frother, which lines up a big shot and just spews basically disgusting foam at you, and you just need to make sure you're dashing out of the way. Sometimes it does like a triple attack that goes like that, and yeah, it's difficult, but it's cool to see this enemy variety coming up. And it's also the activity variety that's changed, because there's lots of new stuff to do in that area of Nahantu. So one that I got to try recently was the Khazra Undercity.
Oh yeah.
Which is part of your priority quest, so you won't miss it. Like it will pop up in your journal, like go do this now, because this activity has a lot of things that I hadn't seen in the base game before. Much more mechanics focused, but also pulling together some of the more interesting mechanics from some of those activities in the base game. So if you enjoyed the fact that the pit had a timer, or like the leaderboard's ladder had timers that you were trying to like get the best score on, it's got a bit of that in it. It's got like the clock is ticking for you to basically reach a boss, and it's a dungeon where you're traveling through. You're going to find these like beacons you need to light, and they will give you progress towards your rewards. The more you fill your rewards bar, the better you get at the end of the run. But the main thing is to make sure that you do reach the boss before the timer ticks down. And to do that, there'll be certain enemies you need to kill that will give you some extra time back. So it's kind of time trials mixed with like choose how much reward you want to get based on how difficult it is, depending on the difficulty level you've chosen. And the mechanics by the end of it are like really interesting. Like I remember that there were like gates that we had to pass through. One player had like a brown aura around them, and the other player had like a spirit sort of blue aura around them. And depending on your aura, you had to choose which gate to go through, otherwise you would take damage. So you really had to like pay attention and kind of communicate to each other, like, oh, you're brown, make sure you go through that one, or the floor would light up and you like have to go to the correct color. So it's cool to see them adding in these kind of mechanics, because like to me that's almost like what you experience in games that have raids.
Yeah.
Where you need to like actually communicate. And although I didn't get to play it, apparently that's like doubled down even further in the Dark Citadel.
Yes.
Which is like a new end game activity for Vessel of Hatred that I'm really excited to try out. Didn't get the chance to play it this time, but I'm going to work hard to get there as quick as I can, because it sounds great. It's like the essence of co-op in Diablo, where you're sometimes literally splitting off into different parties of like twos to go and do this activity, and you have to communicate and like focus, and the mechanics are like rock solid. You got to pay attention to them. So it's great to see these kind of like upgrades to the difficulty. Like it's not just, oh, we're going to make enemies have more health. It's no, we're going to task the player with learning more about playing the game, which is definitely more rewarding.
Absolutely. More of an onus on puzzles as well, not just hit many people hard, you're right.
Nah. If you're brand new to Diablo, but you just like the sound of Vessel of Hatred, still a great jumping off point, I think. So, yeah.
It was good. If you want to hear more about the expansion, maybe some tips, we'll write that up for you. Don't you worry. We'll have you covered for all things Diablo 4. Make sure you subscribe and drop a comment down below if you're excited for the new expansion, what you like about Diablo, and if you want to party up with us and Party Finder too.
Yeah, look out for our postings. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.